Hi everyone, welcome to another Cura chat. For those who are new, Cura is a career accelerator for the future workforce. We started Cura chats because first gen and early career talent are often expected to figure out the professional world by themselves. So we bring people who've done it to break it down, to break down the real steps and the stuff you won't find in the classroom or anywhere else. And today we're happy to have Gloria, an award-winning certified financial planner who's been featured on the New York Times, Forbes, and many others, for her insight on money, identity, and leadership. As a former undocumented first-gen Mexican immigrant, she's passionate about normalizing Latino and first-gen wealth building. She just started a new role as an advisor at Great Waters Financials after relocating from LA to Minnesota. So excited to have you here, Gloria. And my first question to you is tell us a little bit about why you got into this field.
Yeah, I got into this field because I did not know anything about money growing up. I think it's very normal in Latino cultures, especially amongst women, to just not talk about money. And to be honest, we were in survival mode when we were growing up. When I was growing up, we were worried about paying the rent. We were worried about making sure we had food on the table. There was no room to think about what more is there? How would we invest if we had money? What is investing? What is your building your credit score? Like none of that even mattered. No one had benefits. No one had a corporate job. We grew up with limited means for sure. And so when I transitioned into the workforce and I was the first one doing any of that, I think I realized how much I didn't know, which is okay. We don't know what we don't know. And that I had to give myself a lot of grace for that. But I realized there's a whole language of money that I had to learn and a lot of personal finance skills I did not have. So I took it upon myself to learn as much as I could. And I was interested by things like budgeting. And like I said, I saw 401k on my benefits package for my first job. And I was like, what is that? And then you feel kind of odd one out, not knowing what things are. So I had it as a personal passion and like I determined to learn for myself. And then that's how I fell into doing this for other folks and helping them really build a lasting legacy, build riqueza for the first time. I'm very passionate about helping people who started from scratch and who are figuring it out alone because I know how you can feel lost, you can feel like less than, you can feel shame, you can feel guilt, you can feel all the things. Yeah.
Thank you. Gloria, you talked a little bit about many different things. I want to get started on when someone gets their first real paycheck, they just started their full-time job. Where should their money actually go first?
Well, your first job out of college, or if, or if you're going to trade school or whatever education you choose to pursue, usually isn't much. So I don't want to stand here and be like, oh, put 15 to 20% away to your 401k and make sure you get this credit card paid off fully every month and build up your credit. Like that can all seem very out of reach for most folks, especially in America right now. Think cost of living is high in most major cities. So I would say honestly, just focus on covering your essentials. If you can get a job that's good enough to do that, your first job, that's okay. Like my first jobs were 50 and 40-ish thousand dollars a year. That doesn't go too far. I was living in California. So I don't want people to feel guilt of like, oh, great, this financial planner said I should be doing the 30-20-50 rule. And it's like not possible for me. So just covering your essentials. And if you have a little bit extra, if you can match your 401k to your employers, if they offer a match, which is like if you put a little bit of money to your 401k, which is your retirement account, they're incentivized to do the same. So they'll sometimes give you a match and give you almost additional free money only for your retirement account. It doesn't go to you, but that's almost like free money. Good place to start. And then another little thing you can do is start building a small emergency fund. So that's, I would say, key one before thinking about investing in other types of accounts as well. Because when life happens, when it tends to happen, if you're a first gen, you can't call your rich uncle or you don't have a trust fund and you don't have access to people and funds, you're creating it for yourself. You're your own safety net. So I think that's a very important step so that you're not falling into like really bad habits of debt and like credit cards or loans, payday loans, like things that are very predatory in our communities.
Gloria, my goodness, I'm so encouraged by what you said right off the bat because being in corporate, you right away you hear put this percentage away here, just do this. Just do this. right? And so that feels overwhelming. And I'm so happy you just named it, because we're taught to, just follow the rules, just do the, but the reality is our situation may not be the same as somebody else's. And
1000%.
we are struggling to cover the essentials. And it's not like that. So I thank you for kind of relieving a little bit of that pressure that we often hear. And how soon do we how do we start inching our way toward those kinds of measurements? Sounds like priorities, essentials, a bit of an emergency fund, start paying your future self, 401k.
Yeah.
How can you go? Where do you begin as you start thinking about the allocation or prioritization? Where do we begin?
Yeah. I think first, when it comes to anything money, it's just awareness of it all. I think you have to be very aware of your situation and the ins and outs, getting an idea of your cash flow. How does your cash move? You're getting paid $1 for everything you do. Let's make sure your dollars also have a job. So allocate your money. And I think it starts with the mindset and awareness side of things. Where is my money going? Once I've earned it? Is that where I want it to go? Is there better places it could go? Should I look back at the past 3 months and see where did it actually go that I thought it would and it didn't? Did an emergency come up? Did I have to send money back home? Is there someone else depending on me? Am I saving up for a certain goal that I need to get through? So I think that's where we need to start off with the awareness, because you can't move the chess pieces if you don't know the layout of the board, right? So it's like, let's see what we got on the table. Let's see what we're working with. Let's look at the monsters under the bed. If we don't want to look at them, we got to see, maybe it's not a monster. Maybe it's just a whole, thing of dirty clothes that you forgot. Like, you just want to face the fear and the anxiety of it all and put it all out there. It's just numbers. They have feelings. There's emotions. I'm not saying that's not the case, but we can hold space for the emotions while still creating action and movement for the number side. And then, yeah, after that, I think it is those small little steps we can do. Is emergency fund, I think, is the first and primary goal when it comes to a lot of first gen wealth builders. That doesn't mean you can't pay down debt, or you can't, like you said, put yourself first and put money in your 401k while you're doing that. But I would say if you don't have an emergency fund and that buffer, it's going to be really hard to then build off of that. So I'd say that's kind of where I would start, and where I did start is you have a little bit, but you have something. So let's make sure and you're in the driver's seat of all that, and you're not just reacting to stuff happening to you, but you start being more proactive with your money, because it's likely that your parents didn't teach you much, or maybe they have bad habits that they learned from other people or heard other people. There's so many, like, around credit and investing, and there's so many misconceptions out there with all that stuff. So
Yeah, it's loaded. It's loaded for many of us who are first gen. There's a lot to consider, and there's so much behind why we do what we do or don't do what we do.
yeah.
And so unpacking that a little bit. And I love what you said, there's some emotions there too, and that's okay to acknowledge that. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Gloria, in my one of my finance classes, I learned that over 50% of Americans don't even have 500 to $1,000 for any emergencies, right?
Yeah.
So I want to talk to you a little bit about specifically what is an emergency fund, when should you use it, and how much should you have in there?
Emergency fund is just a rainy day fund. It's an opportunity fund. It's something that will help get you through a tough time when life happens. That can be your car breaking down, needing new tires, unexpected medical emergency. Maybe you lose your job. It's really meant to cover you so that you're not relying on touching money for your future self, like investments, because that's long-term money. And or maybe even on the worst side of things, if you're not relying on credit cards and payday loans and things that you might not be able to pay back soon, because then that's no money is actually free. We don't live in a world that way. So to borrow that money on these credit cards is very expensive. And so that's what we want to avoid. So it's just a cushion for yourself. People say to do about 3 to 6 months of expenses. So if your bills and your, like, say your rent and a couple of the bills, like your necessaries, is around round number of $3,000, let's say, a month. If you're younger and you have a roommate or something, I don't know. Then you would want anywhere from $9,000 to all the way to, let's say, $18,000, which sounds like a lot. I know it does, and it's overwhelming when I say those, but then I break it down. I'm like, okay, great. That's the goal. That can be where we want to be, where we want to get. That doesn't mean you don't start with small numbers though, because if you're starting from scratch, that can seem very overwhelming. So you focus on your first 100, your first 500, your first 1,000. And so that's what an emergency fund is. That's where people have a range. And just I guess to give context, why do people say 3 to 6 months? That seems excessive. Well, because kind of the worst case scenario usually for folks is you lose your job. And I tell folks, if that's the case, hopefully that gives you a buffer of finding a job 3 to 6 months. And that seems more doable. That would be like the worst case scenario. You also tend to lean into a bigger emergency fund if you have family or dependents. If you're single and young and it's just you, maybe you can do like 3 months or so. That's probably more doable. Yeah, and so I would say when we say these abstract numbers, the biggest thing is just to break it down for something that works for you. So if you're only able to put $25 to $50 away a paycheck, that's a start. Have that automated so you don't even look at it, because if it hits your bank account and you see it, this even goes for me who's been in this industry for quite a while, I will spend money that is in an account that I have designated to spend. So it's having those automations, and like next thing you know, a year from now, you'll have 1,000 saved up, which like you said is more than most Americans. And so that's, you can start chipping away at it. As your income grows, you increase how much you're saving. Like it's all proportional, right? Making sure we always keep up with that.
Thank you for that, Gloria. You talked about awareness and having awareness of how much money is coming in, how much money is coming out. And this is super important for your emergency fund. Like you said, you need 3 to 6 months.
Yeah.
My question to you is, what do you recommend? How do you recommend someone to be aware? Is it like pen and paper, writing everything down, Excel sheet, apps? What are your thoughts?
Yes, I tell people I don't care how you do it, I just care that you do it.
Mm.
Because my grandma and grandpa are, pen and paper, and that work for them. I have some young people who prefer also pen and paper because they're more just journal type folks who love putting pen to paper and it'll make it stick. That does tend to help people when they're starting off. I will say that if you even do just one round of sitting down, brainstorming for yourself, like, let me write down what I actually make twice a month. Like, let me write down my expenses. Writing, there is a bit of science to that it helps it stick. But there are people who love spreadsheets, love Excel, who engineers or STEM types folks. There are people who love apps who could care less about actually wanting to go in and look at all the details. I think the goal is just to look at it, because most people don't even get to that point. So I'm not going to make a barrier and say everyone has to do it this way, because then even less people will do it. I think it's about seeing what you have and making sure that there's a bit of order to how the money is funneling. So usually we get paid, and then whatever's left we spend, and then we think about saving. And I think the shift that ideally you have when you map it all out is automations, and having it be like what you make, what you save and invest up front, and then what you have remainder you can spend. So if we switch the order of that, not waiting until there's money left over to put yourself in a better position, that's the main goal that we can kind of work through with when we're brainstorming it all out and having that awareness.
So what I'm
Thank
hearing
you.
you say is save is up there as far as the order of priority. And even if it's small, it's okay to put that away automatically so you don't think about it.
Yes.
Then over time, stretch yourself to make that bigger, a bigger part of it.
1,000%. I think it's about the habit formation more than anything, because how you spend your dollars and how you save your dollars is how you will spend and save your thousands and then your millions. So it's about creating those habits, and then it just gets amplified as time goes on. So again, making sure that as your income goes up, because it will naturally, especially if you're younger, we make more, even just with inflation every year. Hopefully you're getting a raise, right? Promotions, job, whatever. As long as you're proportionally increasing your savings and investing, and also your spending. You're allowed to spend more as you make more as well, but the other categories also increase.
Love that.
Laura, you talked about a 401k. Can you explain a little bit about 401k? How do you know if you have a 401k? So yeah.
401k is a retirement account. It's a type of investment account. So people sometimes say, "Oh, am I in investments? Am I in the stock market? What does this all mean?" So there are two types of general investment accounts out there. There are retirement accounts and then taxable accounts. Retirement accounts are all kind of, government has stipulated these type of accounts to give you that they can grow tax free. It can grow tax-free while they're in this vehicle, in this box, because they want you to save and like that's benefits saved to retirement. The taxable accounts are like the regular vanilla brokerage type of accounts you hear out there. So just on this left-hand side, or I guess my left, I don't know if it's your right, a type of retirement account is a 401k. So that's usually a workplace account, and you can ask your HR. Usually when you're hired, they'll tell you the benefits. You can ask if they offer 401k. That's separate from also asking if they match. So they might have a 401k account, a retirement account for you that you can fund, but it's also helpful to say, do you match? Do you put any money away if I put money away? And that's that free money part we talked about. If your workplace happens to not have a 401k retirement account, the beauty of this like little left-hand side over here is that there's also individual retirement accounts. So for folks who don't have access to a workplace one, you can open one up yourself. It's called an IRA, individual retirement account. So that all lives over here and on the type of retirement accounts there are out there.
Gloria, can you talk a little bit about the matching part?
Yeah.
Free money. We all love free money.
Free money. Free money for your future self, not your current self.
How can we think about that? So for example, if we can't give too much to 401k, but we know there's this free money and it, gives up to the match amount, what are the implications of not trying to prioritize that? How should we be thinking about it, and how can we scale up and start beefing that up so we can maximize the match?
Yeah. I mean, in general, I know there are rules of thumb, rules of thumb that don't always apply. People say try and put 15 to 20% of your income towards your retirement, towards investments and savings bucket. Not everyone can do that, especially off the bat when you're first starting off work. Maybe later on when your income is so high, then it's doable that you can even max out, because these type of accounts have a maximum you can put away. It's above 20,000. So most of us don't hit that when we're in our early 20s. And so a match, how this works is usually say the workplace says if you put in, they're all different ways. So each workplace has a different kind of nuance, but an example is if you put 3%, we'll put 3%. Some say if you put 3%, we'll put 1.5%, we'll put half of what you put in. But this is essentially, so if your paycheck is $100, to make it simple, you put $3, they'll put $1.5. So that's $4.5 now going towards your future retirement account. That otherwise, if you didn't put any money away, then it'd be zero, and you're missing out on $1.50 that could be growing. Because the beauty of any investment account, not just the retirement, so taxable or retirement accounts, is that usually the goal is to start off with as much time as possible, because the money doubles and on itself, and it kind of grows. So that $1.50 might not seem like a lot now, but it will in the future. So I think if that's a starting point, we tell folks at least don't miss out on free money. Mm-hmm. So whether that's you need to put some it's 3, some it's if you put 6, we'll put 3. Like there's different options for each employer, but we want to, I think, have that be a starting point so that you're not missing out on the growth of that potential.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
While we're on the topic of workplace benefits, what are some benefits that most people completely just overlook?
Yeah, there's so many out there. And I tell people this because I think we are focused on I think the only thing I really knew about growing up was like how much they pay me, like just hourly or salary. That was the only thing I cared about. I remember when I got my $50,000 offer, I was like, oh my God, I'm rich. Like that's so much money. And I didn't even ask or know that there was going to be more. Like they gave me the benefits package. I was like, what? There is on the compensation side, so on how much you make, there is bonuses, incentives that can be given as well, not just on how you do, but maybe how the company does. So it's always good to ask about that. Do you guys offer a bonus, and what is it based on? There are also benefits around like that will fund stuff for you, like educational benefits, maybe trainings they can pay for. There are benefits around health and wellness. Sometimes they offer to pay for a gym stipend, or they offer just to pay for your full health care premium for you. Same thing with medical and dental. There are benefits around maybe if you have a job where you have to use your own cell phone or you have to work from home, they pay your internet or cell phone. There are different benefits around that. that's all kind of, I think, financial. Then there are also benefits that I think people underestimate around just flexibility of work. The hours you work, the vacation you take off, the flexibility to work from home or not. And so those are all also really important. So I tell folks when they are accepting a job offer, think about your lifestyle, where you're at in life, and what matters to you. Maybe it's not all only about the salary, the hourly pay. Maybe there's a huge bonus structure that you might think you could benefit from. Maybe you're someone who loves to travel a lot, but you have a low cost of living. Like there are so many gives and takes, and so you can negotiate as well. I've negotiated time off. I've negotiated a one-time sign-on bonus. I've negotiated like different aspects of the compensation package. It's a whole package. So don't just think about the one number, which we tend to focus on. Think about all the other things that could also be really beneficial to you or your family.
I love that. What's coming up for me as you say that is how much we focus on the number. There's so many other things, but taking a step back to really understand what you care about, what matters most to you in the phase that you're in, because that might change too down the road. And so I love that intentionality around, okay, well, what do you want? What do you care about? What matters most to you? I love the way you laid this out, bonus incentive, what's it based on, the educational benefits, health and wellness, cell phone, utilities, all of that, plus just time. I love that structure. Can you tell us a little bit more about the benefits that most people don't take advantage of or don't even know about?
Yeah, I think it does tend to be on some of the items that aren't people usually know 401k. Well, I don't want to say people usually because I did not, but the most common benefits I will say are just knowing about your income and your 401k. Those are like the two big things. Sometimes smaller known ones that people don't ask about or know about are like life insurance, disability insurance, HSA, which is like a health savings account, or FSA, which all help. You can put money there before taxes hit your paycheck, and so that can be used tax-free if you use it for medical expenses. Then there are PT. People usually don't negotiate or don't think about negotiating some of the lifestyle stuff like flexibility in work schedule or time off. Maybe there's some sabbatical that's also common at firms if you've been around for long enough, which means if you don't know what that is, I didn't know what that was when I came into the industry or corporate America. It's just like after working for somewhere for a certain amount of time, you get like a longer time off. That doesn't count against your paid time off, your vacation days. It literally is like maybe a month or a few weeks extra you get on your 5th year anniversary or something. So yeah, those are, you can also, if you're ever moving across states like I have, and in this case, I've recently moved across states, you can get a moving, like them to cover some of the moving costs. So there are small and big things that can be covered that I think we don't think about. If you're ever going to have to pay your old employer back for certain things that they helped support you with, that can be negotiated. If you're going to have to incur any costs because you're going to take on a new role, whether again that's education that they want and require of you, you can ask for that to be covered. You have the most amount of leverage when you are about to take the job offer. So just remember that. You can always get promotions and maybe get bonuses while you're working with them and increase your responsibilities to build up your resume and work on your titles while you're there to also build up your resume. But I think the most amount of leverage you have, it will be before you sign the dotted line. So just remember that as well. It's also the scariest time to do it because you probably really want the job and they really want you and you're nervous about it. It's not a skill we're good at negotiating. I just thought people offered you the best they could, and that was the only thing that was given. And then later I realized, no, they come to the table like offering something in the middle, and then they expect you to negotiate. So if you don't, you're leaving money on the table, or benefits or anything else in the package.
Right. I love that. What a great reminder. Most leverage when taking the job, we don't do that enough. We focus on that bottom line number, whatever my salary is going to be. But there's so many other levers you have. And sometimes if you get pushback on that main lever, what else do you have in your back pocket and be ready to speak to that? What matters most to you?
Yeah.
The other thing I just want to remind everyone here too, some of the benefits you may get what you ask for, for your package and you get the job. but some of those benefits update every year too. So for example, education benefits might vary, or they may include more things like support in different ways. So a reminder to check your benefits every year and see what you can take advantage of, because I feel like many of us leave too many things on the table.
Yeah, yeah. And then there's new benefits added. I had in a past employer, they paid some of my student loans, a portion of my student loans. Another employer had like a bonus just that you could use on any thing that brought like that kind of in the health and wellness space, but it was not as specific of like it has to be this. It could be chiropractor, it could be educational thing, just something that would boost your personal development. So there's employers can really do and set up as much as they want for their employees. And then you have some wiggle room maybe on some specifics for your PTO or your flexibility in work schedule and your salary. But there's a lot of different ways you can really look at compensation and the whole package.
Yes, and sometimes employers aren't very overt in what they offer.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of, head in a little bit here. You have to seek it or ask. And
Yes.
the answer is no, right? Unless you ask, and it might be something that you can get.
One, like you said, the worst thing they can say is no. And
Right.
even when it's a no, you can come back and say, well, what can we do? What, especially when it comes to compensation and they say we can't meet either. Great. Like, how often do I have reviews? Is there reviews implemented? Even that's part of it so that we can check in on this and I can see how I'm progressing to meet this goal so that we can review my compensation again in 6 months or 12 months or a year and a half or something. So even stuff like that, when you get a no, it's like, okay, great, totally understand. Walk me through that. We're a team here collaborating and seeing how we're gonna find a solution. It's not me against you. It's I'm providing a service for you guys. You're providing a paycheck for me. This is lovely. How do we help one another both be happy here?
I love that. It's really flipping the script to advocating for yourself, and
Mhm.
everyone wins. If I'm able to
Yeah.
get what I need, I can perform better. I can,
Mhm.
contribute in a more meaningful way. Job satisfaction goes up, engagement goes, all the things are impacted. And so it's important to speak up and ask for what you need and at least explore it so you can make a case.
Yeah.
And it really flips that switch for a lot of us kind of getting into the job force for the first time. Again, we're so focused on being grateful to have a job,
Yep.
or the money we did get with, the extra zeros that we never seen before.
A thousand
And
percent.
all of that kind of works against us. So we sometimes stay quiet and we don't ask for more. We don't want to push those boundaries. But the reality is we're all entitled to so many things we may not even know about.
Yeah, and it's I think shifting from it's not coming from an I deserve this. It's like this is my market value. It's not this is what I'm worth because as a human being we're worth so much and I do think that comes into play a lot where we feel grateful and we don't know how to advocate and we don't want to risk. Our tolerance to risk is much lower when you're first gen and you don't have something to fall back on. So you have all this going on in your head and paying the bills and so I think if you just approach it, like you said, if it's like a self-advocacy thing, and if you don't do it, no one else will. First off, let's never forget that. And then it's your market value. It's what you're bringing to the table. It's you're both benefiting here. But it takes a while. I still get nervous every time I do it. I still have to hype myself up every time I do it. But I know my future self will thank me, and the worst that they can say is no.
Right. And it speaks to being an example for others too. Hey, I tried this. Here's how
Yeah.
it worked for me. Here's what you might try. And it's so important to talk about this and have these conversations more regularly because we learn so much from each other. We're not alone.
And I think that's the biggest thing, transparency. Let's have these conversations. I have friends that we call one another. We're like, this is what they offer me. This is what I'm thinking. What do you think? We talk through every part of it. And sometimes you think I'm being audacious, but they've been met with like their demands, oftentimes like yeah, at least met halfway. And so you're like, wow, I could have missed out on 5 days of PTO, or I could have missed out on $5,000 a year. Like there's so many things. Or now they're gonna pay for me to go to a conference once a year, whatever it might be. Each industry is a little different in that way, but we don't know what we could have missed out on if we don't just ask.
Great point. Thank you.
Gloria, I love what you're saying. So yeah, I agree with everything you said as well. I have a perfect personal experience with this. I got an offer with this company, and I always heard from everyone previous to me or older generations than me, oh, they're gonna give you the best offer. They don't negotiate, none of this. And so I was like, okay, I'm not gonna negotiate.
Mm,
And what I heard from one of my professors in another class is that one of his students was working at the same exact company, same exact job as me, and he asked for more compensation. I think it was like
mm,
$5,000 more, and he ended up getting it. Right. And it goes back to
mm,
that idea where like, oh, I thought that they were giving me the best offer, but they always have some wiggle room, right?
mhm.
And yeah, I totally agree with this. It doesn't hurt to ask. And from now on, I'm always going to be asking, right? And I know I'm going to get nervous, but it's definitely worth trying. So yeah.
Right, because we have in our head, what if that means that then I don't get the job? What if it means that I'm not grateful? I think what also happens is we have to remember we're like straddling two worlds. We're already making way more and probably living out the dreams of everyone who came before us. So we don't like, I remember I told my grandma, when I first, like every time I negotiate, I talk her through what I'm doing and like the life decision I'm making. And she's like, no, ¿para qué preguntas por más? ¿Qué tal si, they don't, qué tal si te dicen que no? Like, no seas muy, no, she didn't say golosa, but she's like, don't be too much. Don't ask for too much. Like you're being too greedy. And I was like, no, but because somebody who's in my position, who did come from money, who did come from wealth, they're going to be told to ask for more. And just because I'm making more than what we all did doesn't mean I don't then get to also try and catch up for everything we want. We're like catching up on, we're starting behind on. So it's interesting because you're straddling trying to catch up to this side, but then also be grateful for how far you've come for this side. So you don't have the measurement of someone, maybe the person who asked for more, their friend or their cousin, or someone did give them the tip of like, this is how much this going rate for this position is, negotiate that, where we have no context. So we're just like, sure, that seems like a lot of money to me. It's more than I've seen before. Um, so it's just like, yeah, it's very different.
Yeah.
So true. I feel like that could be a 3-hour conversation, let alone.
Yeah, straddling the two worlds for sure.
Laura, earlier you said that you went into this field because you knew nothing about it. My question to you is, what is the most shocking things that you learned now that you've been in this field for a while?
Ooh, specifically about money or about how, okay, maybe I'll answer that. Yeah, about money. It doesn't matter how much you make, it's about how much you spend.
Mm,
And that's with clients, that's with me, that's with anyone I talk to about money. So in this industry, it's never about the top dollar. I say that with the caveat, if you're making like very low income, it's very hard to get by. So I say that with a very big awareness of the fact that sometimes the money isn't enough. But you see, in the context of what I do for a living, I've helped millionaires who are going to run out of money. And so it's, you see that if you make 100,000 but you spend 100, you're the same as someone who makes 30,000 but spends 30,000. And so it's really about the intentionality of how you spend will drive more of the results than you think. So that is a common misconception because the people, I think, when we grow up with low income or with less money, you think, oh, money would solve all my problems. But if
mhm,
you don't have the awareness of that money, it goes through your hands and it feels like I can't retain it. Like more money didn't help. It's just going to other things because you didn't build the awareness around it. You just wanted this thing without knowing why and how it worked. Um, and yeah, and I think also the concept it was really hard to grasp my head around was like investing and why it mattered and like why not investing everything and why do you need cash, and it was all so confusing. And I think it's just realizing that inflation is a thing, and I know it's more of a thing now lately, it's been in the news, but that concept that like money, we know this to be true, but like coffee used to cost $2, now it costs $7. Like, so if you aren't putting money away for yourself for the future, it will literally, like if you're just keeping cash, it will be worth less in 20, 30, 40 years. And I say this because Latinos specifically are really good at just put your money under the mattress, keep it cash. We're really risk averse. My grandpa had money in violin case, like because we're just like so scared, but we don't realize the cost that could come with of not understanding how this money stuff works and taking thoughtful and calculated risk. It is risk. I'm not gonna say it's not risk, but there's ways to do it where you don't feel like it's gambling. So yeah, those two things probably.
Gloria, that's super encouraging hearing that people that can make $1 million but also waste $1 million are in the same exact position as people that make $30,000 and are wasting $30,000. Like that's super encouraging for at least me as someone that's entering the workforce. It's like I know I'm gonna be making more money in the future, but I can have control right now and be able to really just take control of my finances and be aware like how you're saying. And I think that's super encouraging.
Yeah.
Let's
Um,
there in case anyone else has questions. Feel free to put that in the chat or unmute if there's anything you'd like to bring to the conversation or a question you might have. Evelia, Dr. Jose Rivas, feel free to jump in. All right, let's continue, Adrian.
yes. Gloria, now that we're on the topic of investing, I guess how do you explain investing to someone that doesn't really know anything about finances or money and investing?
Yeah. Investing is when you're putting away money for your future self. And how investing works, you can either have money in cash or you can invest it. Cash, we know how it works. It stays the same. It is stagnant. It is linear. It just, not even linear, because linear could be like this. It's just, stays the same, right? So investing is when you're going to have your money. I think people like to say like money work for you is like a very typical saying, but like when money can grow because it is being invested in something. I compare this to like terrenos. We all know land, right? We all know people buy land, people buy real estate. It's the same thing. It's just not physical. So you're choosing to invest in something that you hope will grow over time. Most of things that people invest in are two main things, either companies, aka stocks. You buy a little portion of a company and you hope the company does well, so then your money grows in value, or bonds, which is like a IOU. You let someone, a corporation or a government or entity, borrow money, and the way you're getting money off that is they're paying you interest. So they're paying you for that borrowed money. So those are the two main types of ways people invest. So in different types of accounts. Like I said earlier, there are two main type of accounts, retirement and regular investment accounts. So that kind of you can just think of like either retirement money for like 20, 30, 40, 50 years from now, or regular accounts, which are usually for like middle term goals, anywhere from 5 to, before 5 years plus to before retirement. That's for most of us. There are some people who are extremely wealthy who then can use different types of accounts and fancy accounts and different strategies. But you definitely, I think the biggest thing when it comes to investing is people hear, oh, okay, great. I want to grow my money. So let's get to it. I see that now you've showed me if I put $1 in now and it grows at 8% a year-ish, like it can double every 10 years. That's pretty powerful because it's not just times two, times two, times two. It's not just plus two, plus two, plus two. I mean, it's like times two, times two, times two. So when things multiply, it can be pretty powerful. You want to start with your emergency fund first. So I say this because investing is for long-term money. Because the stock market, if you've never had experience with it, it's very different than cash and having money in your bank account. Investing long-term, when you zoom out, it does look like a line going up. But if you zoom in year to year and day to day, actually, it's like a giving coin toss. It's up and down, up and down, up and down. Because we don't know how how companies are going to do and how bonds are going to do. It's affected by government work. It's affected by like natural disasters, by how the world is doing. It's humans investing in the stock market. So it's really, it's very what's called volatile, fluctuating up and down. So because of this, before you invest, I always tell folks, have your emergency fund and plus any short-term goals, 1 to 5 year stuff in cash, in savings, in a high yield savings if you want. That's great. Lovely if you know how to do that and you're technologically savvy and you can have a high yield savings account. And then you have like any long-term goals that you have time for your money to grow and recover, even if in like small ups and downs. That's when you choose to invest. So yeah. And the reason that we invest, I think, as a baseline, if you're ever like, why should I, is because otherwise your money is actually going down in value every year, right? Because of inflation. So that's a general what is investing and then maybe what types of general timelines. Very general, obviously not advice for a specific person. Every person is different. Then you can get in the terminology of what to invest in and how to invest in and where to go. That can all get pretty complicated. So, but that's a very high level.
Thank you.
I
We have
know.
a question.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts, suggestions for folks who are later in life career but have not started retirement accounts? Great question, because
Yeah.
it's never too late. I always like to say, but how do you go about it? What advice do you have?
Yeah, I agree. I think that is like the main reminder to folks is it's never too late. Now is better than never. And so whether you're approaching retirement or not, if you can start putting money away, I think that is a good thing. You will be glad you did, even if it's small amounts. So I just encourage you to start, and that's okay. And if you're at work still, maybe they'll have a 401k plan, which is great. If they don't offer it, there are things like IRAs, individual retirement accounts. They have different limits, each of them, but that's more of the nuanced stuff. The goal is to get you started and putting some money away for your future self. Um, and yeah, I think when we think that way, we just don't take action at all. So I always am like, it's okay if it's 100 or 200 or 300. And people do think actually, oh, well, I'll wait till I'm older when I make more to put more away. And I do this exercise with folks. We have like 20-year-olds putting away $100 a month, and 40-year-olds putting away $200 a month. And you're like, oh, maybe they'll kind of end up the same because the 20-year-olds are putting 100 away for 40 years till they're 60, and the 40-year-old are putting 200 away for 20 years. So they'll like have the same amount, right? Technically, if you do the math, like if you just did straight addition and multiplication of what that is. But actually, because of the compounding, because the 20-year-olds had 2 extra decades, they have almost like twice as like much in value at the end of the day because they had so much more time for the money to grow. So I think if we can get away from the mentality of waiting longer to make more to then put away money, and or the fact that maybe we just didn't know, that's okay. Start today. Like that we today's a fresh start, and I think it's better right now than never.
Yes, and I love that because at least your money is growing. If you're putting it in some sort of retirement account, it's something, you're starting from something and it's still growing, it's still compounding.
Yeah.
And you can't worry about what didn't happen, years back, but starting now, what a gift to your future self.
Yes.
Not nothing. It
Yeah.
should be celebrated too. I think that's a great question. Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah.
Gloria, so what I'm hearing right now is first step is have that emergency fund, right? Have that buffer. And then plus that 1 to 5 year goals. And then after that, maybe get your 401k match, which is for your retirement, right? And then on top of that, maybe invest a little bit more, right? That's kind of what I'm hearing.
If there is ability, and if you're, off the bat, maybe you're making 6 figures out of college, you chose a very, amazing career, you got a really good job offer, great. Maybe you can do a lot of these sooner rather than later, and maybe you max out your 401k or something, like, which would be incredible to start off so early. But many of us just aren't there. So if you can have like kind of a little bit of a roadmap versus thinking you have to do it all at once, it's a lot easier.
I also like the advice you gave about do your research, ask questions. What do you
Mhm.
cover in this, way? What about time off? What about education benefits? What would that look like? I'm interested in, continuing my education in this way. Could that be covered? And it doesn't take away from, you asking for more money, but that's part of the whole thing too.
Right.
Or it could be in your back pocket as you're negotiating. Uh,
Especially because as first gens, I think we're told to just work hard and pull yourself up by your bootstraps, and that is not the only thing we need to succeed. If
right.
that was the case, our farm workers would be CEOs. Let me tell you that. That is
Yeah.
not the case. So there is social capital, financial capital, and then I think like knowledge capital. I like to break it down into those three. We've done our part, hopefully, to know some knowledge capital. We're gonna work hard to get that financial capital as well. But how are you going to boost your career in other ways? Social capital. Ask to go a day off or a couple days off a year to go to a networking event, to go to a conference. The knowledge capital, always keep growing because no one can take away what you know. Invest in yourself. That is yours forever. And so I think realizing like there's a lot of pillars that require success. It's not just keep your head down, work hard. So have them pour into all the pillars, not just the financial one. I think is going to be really important.
I love that diversification. Everything kind of grows, everything compounds when you
It
can kind
does.
of
It
look at it
really
that
does.
way. It's such a great way to position that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Gloria, I'm super curious on any information that you have about first gens and investing and finances. I guess my question is really like, what is something that first gen or Latinos or any minority really just struggles with?
Um, I think we struggle with a lot of guilt and feeling behind and wanting to, we're really hard on ourselves, but then also like, yeah, I think it's just this straddle of all the feelings of trying to go, like I said, further and quicker and trying to catch up while feeling guilty and stuff for not feeling like feeling behind and also not helping, wanting everyone around us to be as good as us. So, I think when it comes to money, just knowing that all of that can be true and you can still make progress and you can still your finances will look different than others. Like don't compare yourself. Don't play the comparison game. In general, no one should, but especially first gen because of probably a lot of the additional weight we carry and the invisible weight we carry as first gens. Don't do that to yourself. There's enough already that on your plate. Do what you can and take things one at a time. Most families won't have to help family members. You're probably thinking about not just retiring yourself, but helping your parents and setting up your kids even better. That's way more than most people who have to focus on just themselves. And so, again, just the lens through which finance is seen when you're coming from an immigrant family, when you're a first gen, when you're Latino, whatever that intersection is, if you're a woman, probably even more pressure. So it's just very different. So let it be what it is. Put a budget line item for sending money back home. Most people won't have that. That's okay. That's your budget. You get to do what you want with your budget. You want to, start up a 529 education fund for your niece, like I have. That's in my budget. Most people probably wouldn't have to worry about that because maybe their parent or grandparents or someone else is funding someone's education. Not the case for us. So we just have to do it a little differently and just know that people sometimes give us advice, well intentioned, maybe not, who knows? Just remember on what your goal is, your whys, what matters to you, because it can be very easy to get stuck in the comparison game in general in life. And so, especially with money, just grounding yourself to what matters and what's important to you and making sure your money reflects that. That's the only thing it needs to reflect. So,
Yeah, what a great reminder because we do get caught up in this comparison. We do get caught up in, I'm not ready yet, or I don't have enough yet to do all these things and save, invest, all those things. And no one needs to really know, right? So, on one hand, there's so many things that are public, and that comparison game gets really heavy. But at the same time, great point. It's what you need to do for yourself if you want to give back to your family, if you want to save for something that's important to you personally, travel, whatever it may be, that's your business, right? And so you can always ask for help too. And so people like you, a trusted financial advisor, someone that has been doing this and talks to so many people,
yeah.
we're not alone, but also that's very personal to us, right? What we do
Yeah.
and that works for us.
And you get to choose how transparent you are, and even the language we use is very limiting. So I know when I was younger, I would struggle with like, man, I don't want to say I'm poor, I can't afford things, right? But that's what I would say. People say, you want to go out, you want to do this, you want to travel, you want to go to this event. I'd be like, I can't afford it. And actually, that wasn't the case. I was putting a little bit of money to my 401k and I was trying to pay off my credit card. So the language should have been, and I tell people this all the time, it matters is, hey, I would love to spend time with you. I'm choosing to right now my money is a prioritize on other goals. If you're my friend, let's find time to hang out at the beach or go to the park or let's do something like a game night at my place. I'd love to hang out, but right now my priority is this. It's not that I can't afford it. It's not that I'm poor. It's that I'm allocating funds differently based on what's important to me right now.
I love that
That's
so much.
that's a-okay. And then you can choose to, again, go farther, deeper into it. And the people that are there to support you should ideally be there to feel like you're uplifted, but we often feel the guilt for saying no or guilt for the way we say things in our situations. But like everyone has a lot going on and they might appreciate it. They might then be like, oh, you know what? When they are going through something, they might then open up about it or say, yeah, maybe I can't right now because of this. And then it just creates like this system of just, I think it's a much healthier dynamic to have with money and relationships and how we show love and how we show up for people. That doesn't have to always be money, how we show up for ourselves, and boundary setting with money. It's a lot of things with first gens for sure.
We're breaking cycles just by being transparent about it.
Mhm.
This is what matters to me. This is the stage that I'm in now. That's okay. And so it
Yeah.
gives other people permission to say, huh, I don't have to feel guilty about this.
And if you say no to a friend or family member because you're like saving up for a house, I promise you they would be like, oh heck yeah, like how let's like actually not go out. Let's have like dinners at your place for the next couple months so you can
Right?
save that extra couple $100. Like it might even actually incentivize and make people allow them to support you in other ways. You never know.
So true. Love
Yeah.
that. Great reminder. Very empowering.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Gloria. We're kind of wrapping up right here. So I'm going to be moving into rapid fire questions.
Yeah.
So just don't overthink this. Just give us your immediate instinct and
Yeah.
answer. So my first question to you is, what is the next trip that you're saving for?
I am going out to Europe for my 30th birthday. So I have allocated funds for Portugal at a minimum, and hopefully we'll throw in a couple other countries.
Love that.
Yes, I'll
Exciting.
be leaving in a few weeks.
So much to look forward to.
Yeah.
What is a bucket list item you haven't checked off yet?
Hmm.
Um, oof. I think I either want to do a TED Talk or write a book.
Mm.
How
Yeah.
about both?
Both. Let's do both. Yeah, I have a long time. I don't have a rush on it. So we're good.
What's something that you bought recently that was 100% worth it?
Therapy.
Mm.
Yeah, I never regret spending money on learning more about myself and how to get better as a human being and how I show up in the world, whether at work or personal or friendships or family.
Investing in yourself is super important as well.
Yeah.
Um, what is a show you've been binging lately?
Oh, oh, what is it called? The Night Agent I watched recently. I binged on Netflix. It's like a action one. I also love like movies like the Voicemails to Isabel just came out amazing on Netflix. I love a
Oh,
good rom-com.
I
So
love
good.
that.
Yes. Yeah.
And then finally, what is one song that's always on your playlist no matter what?
Vivir mi vida by Mark Anthony. I
Mm,
think whether I'm happy or not, that reminds me you're getting through it. And I love dancing specifically. So I just like music makes me happy, but then the lyrics to the song are so beautiful and it just gets me out of a funk or makes me even happier if I'm happy.
Love it.
thank you, Gloria. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
everyone, for
Great.
joining us. This was a great Cure chat. And thank you, Gloria, here for being here today. So yeah, we'll wrap it up here.
I appreciate you guys for having me. Thank you so much. It was so great to chat with you guys. And I look forward to just hopefully hearing stories of how this helps and then just staying in contact with everyone.